You know, there's an invisible war being fought every single day, and it's for the food that's right there on your plate. It's this high-stakes, surprisingly complex world of strategy and science. So in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden battlefield of plant protection.
Let's just start with this quote. It's often attributed to Jonas Salk, the guy who invented the polio vaccine, and it just perfectly nails the complicated relationship we have with the insect world, doesn't it? I mean, they're absolutely essential for life on Earth, but, well, as we're about to see, our interests don't always line up.
But before we get to that battlefield, let's talk about the incredible genius of our six-legged neighbors. So many of our most advanced technologies are, believe it or not, direct copies of nature's own blueprints. It's a field known as biomimicry, and honestly, some of this stuff is mind-blowing. Yep, you heard that right. It turns out that bees have a sense of smell that's way, way better than a dog's. And scientists figured out that if you reward them with a little sugar water, you can train them to find the specific chemical sense of explosives with over 99% accuracy. How cool is that? A totally low-tech solution for a very high-tech problem.
Okay, stick with me on this one because I know it sounds a little weird, but this is a real medically proven practice called maggot therapy. They use sterile larvae from a specific kind of fly and place them on wounds that just won't heal. And these little guys, they go to work eating only the dead or, necrotic tissue. And they also secrete these antimicrobial enzymes that actually help the wound heal faster. It's pretty amazing.
And this inspiration, it can be massive. We're talking building-sized. In Zimbabwe, architects were fascinated by termite mounds, which somehow stay at a perfectly constant temperature, even in scorching heat. So they copied that natural ventilation system for a huge office building, the Eastgate Center. And get this, it saved them millions in air conditioning costs.
Think about a dragonfly for a second. It's an absolute master of flight. It can hover, fly backward, make these insane hairpin turns at top speed. They're so good, in fact, that their complex flight system became the direct model for the design of the first Sikorsky helicopters. Nature got there first.
And the list, it just goes on and on. We've got water-repellent fabrics inspired by butterfly wings, anti-glare screens from moth eyes. We've even built anti-collision sensors for cars based on how locusts swarm, and made brighter LEDs by copying the structure of a firefly. Nature is basically the best R&D lab on the planet, hands down.
So this brings us to the big question, right? If insects are the source of so much genius and they're so vital to our ecosystem, then why are we locked in this constant battle with them on our farms? And this is where the whole story takes a sharp turn.
Welcome to the hidden battlefield. Every single farm, every field is basically a front line in a struggle against organisms that threaten the very food we eat. So, who exactly are we fighting?
First, we got to get our heads around this word pest. It's not really a scientific term. It's a label we stick on things based on a conflict of interest. An insect isn't born bad. It just becomes a pest when what it needs to survive, like eating our crops, clashes with what we need to survive. It's all about perspective.
On this battlefield, we're facing three main adversaries. First, you have the animal pests, everything from tiny mites to bigger animals like birds. Then you've got plant diseases. These are the microscopic invaders like fungi and viruses. And finally, you have weeds, which are in a constant dogfight with our crops for essentials like sunlight, water, and nutrients. Now, the damage these guys do can be super obvious, right? Like a caterpillar munching holes in a leaf, but a lot of the time it's way more subtle. Some insects have these tiny needle-like mouths that use to suck the life-giving sap right out of a plant. Others can even trick the plant into forming these weird growths called galls, which then become a nice safe home and food source for their babies.
And it doesn't stop there. There's this crazy knock-on effect. Some of those sap-sucking insects, they excrete this sticky, sugary waste called honeydew. Well, that honeydew is the perfect food for a black fungus called city mold. And that mold can grow so thick that it basically puts a blindfold on the plant's leaves, blocking sunlight and choking off its ability to create energy. So, faced with all these threats, how do we fight back? Well, it's not about brute force anymore. Modern plant protection is a really sophisticated strategy. It's like a multi-layered arsenal designed to be as smart as it is effective.
The modern approach is all about a hierarchy of actions. Think of it like a ladder. You don't just jump straight to the top, to the heavy weapons. No, you start at the bottom with the smartest, least invasive method you can, and you only climb that ladder if you absolutely have to. Let's break it down.
The first line of defense, the foundation of the whole thing, is just smart farming.
We're talking cultural controls, like rotating your crops each year so pests that live in the soil don't get a chance to build up, and it includes physical controls, like using the sun's heat to bake the soil clean, or literally just putting up nets and traps to block pests. Okay, so what if that's not enough? Well, that's when we fight nature with nature. Biological control is all about bringing in the good guys, releasing predators like ladybugs to eat pests like aphids. Then you have biotechnical controls, which are even more precise. We can use synthetic versions of insect hormones, called pheromones, to totally confuse the pests and mess up their mating cycles, or just lure them into traps.
And only as the final option. When an infestation is totally out of control and threatens the whole crop, only then do we turn to chemical controls. But here's the crucial part. In a modern strategy, this isn't a blunt instrument you just spray everywhere. It's a targeted, precise tool used as a last resort.
So what's the big idea that ties all of these strategies together? Well, it's not about winning a war of annihilation. It's about maintaining a delicate, really intelligent balance.
This whole guiding philosophy has a name: Integrated Pest Management, or IPM. It's a holistic approach. It looks at the farm as a whole ecosystem, and the goal is to combine all the tools we have to keep pests in check, but with the least possible risk to the environment and, of course, to us. And this is a huge shift in thinking. I really want to stress this because it's so important. The goal is not to wipe out every single pest. Like we saw at the beginning, that would be a total ecological disaster. So the key idea here is this. It's about management, not eradication. It's a really pragmatic strategy. You're just trying to keep pest populations below a certain threshold, the point where they start causing real economic damage. A few bugs are okay. A massive swarm is not. So when you weave together all these methods, the cultural, the physical, the biological, and only when you have to, the chemical, what you create is a system that's way more sustainable and resilient than just relying on one thing. This is the long-term game plan for protecting our food. And really, this whole hidden battlefield, it all boils down to one critical question for our future. It's a microcosm of a much bigger challenge. How do we feed everyone without wrecking the planet that sustains us? The answer, it seems, lies in working smarter, not harder, and maybe taking a few more cues from nature itself.